Did you know that the fashion industry is the second largest polluter in the world, right after oil? Every year, it produces a shocking 92 million tons of waste, and more than 80 billion pieces of clothing are bought worldwide. But here's the kicker, 85% of those clothes end up in landfills. It's no wonder fast fashion has earned its bad reputation. Cheap, trendy clothes come at a high price, not just for your wallet, but for the planet. In this video, we'll dive into how fast fashion is wrecking our environment, from toxic water pollution to mountains of waste. We'll also explore real, actionable ways you can make a difference. By the end, you'll know how to shop smarter, reduce waste, and build a more sustainable wardrobe, without sacrificing style. So, stick around and discover how small changes can create big impacts for our planet. Chapter 1: The Dark Side of Fast Fashion. Hidden costs. When you think of fast fashion, you probably imagine trendy clothes at low prices. But behind the flashy labels lies a much darker story. The fast fashion industry is responsible for 10% of global carbon emissions, more than the aviation and shipping industries combined. It's a staggering number when you consider how much clothing we buy and discard each year. On average, a person buys 60% more clothing today than they did 20 years ago. This overproduction puts enormous pressure on the environment. One of the biggest issues is water pollution. Clothing dyes, which are often toxic, get washed into rivers and lakes, causing severe ecological damage. In fact, it's estimated that 20% of industrial water pollution comes from textile dyeing. These chemicals are harmful not just to fish but to the entire ecosystem. Fast fashion also contributes to plastic pollution. Synthetic fibers, such as polyester and nylon, account for over 60% of global textile production. When washed, these fabrics shed tiny plastic microfibers that flow into oceans, harming marine life. In fact, researchers found that one load of laundry can release up to 700,000 microplastic fibers. The environmental impact doesn't stop there. Clothes that don't sell or aren't up to date get thrown away. This leads to landfills being filled with millions of tons of discarded textiles each year. The textile industry is the second largest contributor to landfill waste, and about 85% of textiles end up in the trash. Imagine a world where old clothes sit in landfills for decades, emitting greenhouse gases and taking up valuable space. So, what can we do about it? The first step is recognizing the hidden costs of the cheap clothes we buy. Understanding the environmental toll can push us to be more mindful of our purchases. Instead of opting for low-quality, disposable clothing, we should prioritize durable, eco-friendly options that last. Chapter 2: From Runway to Trash, the life cycle of a fast fashion garment. Let's take a closer look at the life cycle of a fast fashion item. It all begins with the design. Fashion brands often create dozens of new styles every season, driving the need for mass production. But here's the catch: the faster a garment is made, the lower the quality. Designers cut corners, using cheaper materials and labor. This leads to clothes that fall apart after only a few wears. Once a garment is made, it's shipped across the globe. The carbon footprint of shipping fashion items is huge. In fact, a single cotton t-shirt can have a carbon footprint of up to 2.1 kilograms. But it doesn't end there. After arriving at the store, the clothing is sold at a fraction of its actual cost. The cheap prices make us feel like we're getting a deal, but the true cost is hidden in the environmental destruction caused by the garment's creation and transportation. Then comes the consumer phase. Most people wear fast fashion items only a handful of times before they're thrown away. In the US, for example, the average person discards 81 pounds of clothes each year. While the cheap price tag may seem appealing, it doesn't account for the environmental cost of producing, transporting, and discarding these clothes. But it's not just about what happens to the clothes during their life cycle. The disposal stage is equally problematic. Most fast fashion items are made of non-biodegradable materials like polyester. When tossed into landfills, these fabrics take hundreds of years to break down. As they decompose, they release harmful chemicals and greenhouse gases into the environment. Understanding the full life cycle of a garment is crucial. It allows us to see the bigger picture. From the production phase to disposal, fast fashion impacts the planet at every stage. If we want to make a change, we need to rethink our consumption habits. Choosing high-quality, long-lasting clothing is one way to break the cycle. Chapter 3: Fast Fashion's Dirty Secrets, Worker Rights and Environmental Justice. While the environmental damage is glaring, the human cost of fast fashion is just as troubling. Many fast fashion brands rely on factories in developing countries, where labor laws are often weak. Workers, mostly women and children, work long hours in unsafe conditions, earning less than a living wage. According to the Clean Clothes Campaign, the majority of garment workers in Bangladesh make only $96 per month, well below the poverty line. But the exploitation doesn't end with low wages. The chemicals used in textile production also pose severe health risks to workers. Many factory employees are exposed to toxic dyes and solvents, leading to chronic skin conditions, respiratory problems, and even cancer. There's little protection for these workers, as many of the factories do not follow proper safety regulations. On top of this, the environmental destruction caused by these factories disproportionately affects marginalized communities. In places like India and China, where most of the world's textiles are produced, polluted water sources and poor air quality are daily struggles for local residents. The factories often discharge untreated wastewater into rivers, affecting the health of millions. The impact of fast fashion on workers and the environment can't be separated. The people who make our clothes are often the same ones suffering from the industry's environmental damage. This is why the push for sustainable fashion includes advocating for better labor rights and environmental justice. When you buy clothing from ethical brands, you're not only helping to protect the planet, but you're also supporting fair wages and safer working conditions. So, what can we do? One way is to support brands that prioritize fair wages and safe working conditions. Companies that are transparent about their labor practices are often committed to reducing their environmental impact as well. By choosing these brands, we can help create a more equitable and sustainable fashion industry. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights into how you can be part of the solution. Chapter 4: Recycled Fashion Revolution. Turning waste into wardrobe. The idea of recycling isn't new, but when it comes to fashion, it's starting to gain serious traction. Every year, the world produces around 92 million tons of textile waste. A staggering 87% of this waste ends up in landfills or is incinerated. But there's hope. Many innovative designers are turning that waste into stylish, wearable items. The recycled fashion revolution is here, and it's changing the game. One of the most exciting trends in sustainable fashion is upcycling. Brands and designers are using discarded materials, like old clothes, fabric scraps, and even plastic bottles, to create new pieces. For example, a growing number of companies are transforming plastic waste into durable fabrics. Recycled polyester, made from post-consumer plastic bottles, is now a common fabric used in fashion. One jacket made from 10 recycled plastic bottles is just one example of how old waste can be turned into something beautiful. The environmental impact of using recycled materials is significant. Recycling polyester uses 59% less energy than producing virgin polyester. This reduction in energy consumption means fewer greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere, helping combat climate change. Plus, it helps reduce the demand for new raw materials, which is a major win for the planet. Beyond just recycling, the concept of circular fashion is gaining momentum. Circular fashion aims to keep products in use for as long as possible, reducing waste and encouraging reuse. For example, some brands offer repair services, so customers can extend the life of their clothes. Others focus on designing garments that are easy to disassemble and recycle once they've reached the end of their life cycle. Another unique aspect of recycled fashion is the rise of garment-to-garment recycling. This innovative process involves collecting old clothing, sorting it by fabric type, and then turning it back into yarn to create new garments. The technology is still developing, but it has the potential to close the loop on fashion waste. Brands like H&M and Patagonia are already testing this technology, proving that the future of fashion could be circular. The rise of second-hand clothing and thrift shopping also plays a big role in the recycled fashion movement. Second-hand clothing is not just a cheap alternative, it's a sustainable one too. In fact, buying second-hand can reduce your carbon footprint by up to 82% compared to buying new. Thrift stores and online platforms like Depop and Poshmark are making it easier than ever to buy and sell pre-loved fashion. Adopting a recycled fashion mindset requires more than just buying recycled items, it's about changing the way we approach clothing. By focusing on quality, repair, and reuse, we can help reduce the demand for new clothes and shift the fashion industry toward more sustainable practices. Chapter 5: The Eco-Friendly Fashion Fix. How to build a conscious wardrobe. Building a conscious wardrobe doesn't mean you have to throw away everything you own. Instead, it's about making smarter, more sustainable choices moving forward. It starts with buying fewer but better quality clothes. The average person buys 60% more clothing today than they did in the 1990s, yet we wear those clothes only half as much. That's a problem when we're trying to reduce our environmental footprint. To start building a conscious wardrobe, choose natural fabrics like organic cotton, hemp, and wool over synthetic fibers. Organic cotton is grown without harmful pesticides or fertilizers, making it much better for the planet. Wool, on the other hand, is biodegradable and renewable. Even better, it can be recycled and repurposed, making it an eco-friendly option. Another important factor is choosing long-lasting, timeless styles over fleeting trends. Fast fashion thrives on constant newness, but this quick turnover is part of the problem. By selecting classic pieces that never go out of style, you can build a wardrobe that will last for years, both in terms of quality and relevance. It's also essential to be mindful of where your clothes are made. Many eco-friendly brands are transparent about their production processes, so you can be confident that they're using ethical labor practices and sustainable materials. Supporting these brands is one of the most powerful ways to vote with your dollars and create a demand for better practices in the fashion industry. Quality doesn't just mean the fabric, it also refers to how the garment is made. Take a closer look at stitching, button placement, and other details. Well-made garments often last longer and look better with age. In fact, clothes made with care are more likely to stay in your wardrobe for years, reducing the need for constant replacement. One way to enhance the longevity of your wardrobe is by caring for your clothes properly. Washing clothes less frequently, air drying instead of using a dryer, and avoiding harsh detergents can all extend the life of your garments. And when they do get worn out, consider upcycling or repairing them instead of throwing them away. Thrift shopping and clothing swaps are also great strategies for building a sustainable wardrobe. You can find quality, pre-loved pieces that are unique and affordable. Plus, swapping clothes with friends is a fun way to refresh your wardrobe without contributing to overproduction. With these simple strategies, building a conscious wardrobe can be both easy and exciting. Chapter 6: Beyond the Hype. What can you do to stop fast fashion's grip? While it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer scale of fast fashion's impact, there are concrete steps we can all take to make a difference. The first step is to reduce consumption. The less we buy, the less demand there is for fast fashion. In fact, research shows that if every person bought just one less item of clothing each year, it would cut global textile waste by 10%. That's a significant impact, just from small personal changes. Next, consider renting clothes for special occasions instead of buying something you'll only wear once. Clothing rental services like Rent the Runway or Her Collective make it easier than ever to borrow high-quality pieces for a fraction of the cost, and without the environmental burden of owning something that goes unused most of the year. Supporting brands that prioritize sustainability is another powerful way to create change. More and more companies are adopting eco-friendly practices, from using organic fabrics to reducing carbon emissions. By choosing to spend your money with these brands, you help push the industry toward more responsible production methods. Another crucial strategy is advocating for change. Use your voice to demand greater transparency from brands about their sourcing and manufacturing processes. The more consumers ask for ethical fashion, the more companies will be forced to listen. In fact, a 2020 report found that 66% of global consumers are willing to pay more for sustainable brands. This trend signals that change is on the horizon. Finally, remember that every small action counts. By making informed choices and being mindful of your clothing consumption, you can help dismantle the fast fashion system. Every purchase you make is an opportunity to support a more sustainable, ethical future. Whether you're shopping secondhand, investing in quality pieces, or simply buying less, you're contributing to a global shift toward a more sustainable fashion industry. Subscribe now to stay updated and learn how you can continue making a positive impact on both the environment and your wardrobe.